Hey internet friends, a few of you requested that I do a video on Operation Gotham Shield. And while I was doing research for this video, I noticed that the majority of the information and media I stumbled upon was fear porn. You know what I'm talking about, the Chicken Little, sky is falling, the world is ending type rhetoric. If you find yourself on that sort of ride and one off, I've listed a couple of even-handed videos on Operation Gotham Shield in the description. Since it is not my goal to fearmonger, I would rather inform and prompt you to do your own research, so then you can turn around and make informed and rational decisions that aren't fueled by fear, but rather your foundation of knowledge. So have you noticed the narrative being built off the impending nuclear threats to the United States, tension rising in the Middle East, and a full-blown Red Scare across all media? Pair that with the tornado of questions with the events that took place earlier this week with the power outages reported coast to coast from New York to California, and we've got a collective suspicion that something big is about to go down. But what exactly? Right now, all eyes are on Operation Gotham Shield. Did you know that Gotham is a village in England? Its name comes from the Old English word for goat home. The village is most famed for the stories of the wise men of Gotham. The tales depict the inhabitants of the village as being stupid. I'm sitting here wondering if there's any connection to the Gotthard Tunnel in Switzerland. You remember the one with the weird opening ceremony? Anywho, to summarize Operation Gotham Shield, it's an alert that has surfaced on the web describing an exercise which will conduct a simulation crisis by detonating a 10,000-ton nuclear bomb over the New York City, New Jersey area next week. Agencies involved in the exercise, which is said to be a routine drill, have noted that it will simulate a large-scale terrorist attack, but some believe it may turn into an actual disaster. I read that summary off of dailymail.com, and in my opinion, when bigger news organizations start to report on it, it's not gonna happen, which is good. On one hand, there's an argument to be made that we should all be prepared for such a scenario at every level of our infrastructure. But on the other hand, so many strange events have coincided with drills happening the same day in the same area, which makes people say that these events happen on or around the same time of these alleged drills. I'll provide you a couple of examples, starting with the proposed 1962 Operation Northwoods, which was proposed by the U.S. Department of Defense for a war with Cuba, involving scenarios such as fabricating the hijacking or shooting down of passenger and military planes, sinking a U.S. ship in the vicinity of Cuba, burning crops, sinking a boat filled with Cuban refugees, attacks by alleged Cuban infiltrators inside the United States, and the destruction of aerial drones by U.S. aircrafts disguised as Cuban aircrafts. The proposal said these actions would be blamed on Cuba, and that would be a pretty good pretext for an invasion of Cuba and the overthrow of Fidel Castro's communist government. But that entire proposal was rejected by President John F. Kennedy, who was shortly thereafter assassinated. Fast forward to the 2 years before the September 11th attacks. The North American Aerospace Defense Command conducted exercises simulating what the White House said was unimaginable at the time. Hijacked airliners used as weapons to crash into targets and cause mass casualties. One of the imagined targets was the World Trade Center. In another exercise, jets performed a mock shoot-down over the Atlantic Ocean of a jet supposedly laden with chemical poisons headed towards a target in the United States. In the third scenario, the target was the Pentagon, but that drill was not run after the defense officials said it was unrealistic. NORAD and defense officials said, which was reported in a USA Today article from 2004. This is not speculation, this is fact. Let's throw Batman back into the mix since we're talking Gotham. Remember the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting? I'll refresh your memory if you don't remember. On July 20th, 2012, a mass shooting occurred inside a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, during a midnight screening of the Batman film, The Dark Knight Rises. According to this Denver Post article I'm reading, the tragedy that played out ironically paralleled a classroom learning experience in a medical school in Parker the same day. One of the scenarios being used to train the students was how to respond if a shooter fired at people in a movie theater and also used a bomb in the attack. And a year later, in 2013, according to the Department of Homeland Security document, the agents were planning on conducting training exercises centered around a fictitious terrorist group. A group that would plant backpacks full of explosives around Boston that the detectives would be forced to track down. And ultimately, this fictitious exercise came to fruition with the bombings at the Boston Marathon. What could be some possible goals of a false flag around this time? I believe this could be answered by asking ourselves, what is our government lacking at the moment? To me, in my opinion, it really seems like they want to take action against supposedly dangerous regimes like North Korea and Iran and whoever isn't controlled by Rothschild banking. So they would need, well, they wouldn't need it, but it would be the cherry on the top to have some public support, some public anxiety, some approval to take this kind of action. I suppose another goal could be furthering the police state that's been pushed since 9/11. What could be some other goals of a false flag? I'm sure I missed a bunch of goals, but I'm too caught up in thinking this particular thought. Do you believe the coverage of Operation Gotham Shield could be a massive distraction from actual happenings that are taking place? Let me know. I always look forward to reading your comments, and thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye!